It's very
So
emotional,
hard.
right?
Yeah.
Whether you're the seller or the buyer, unless it's like an investor who has no emotional strings attached.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
so yeah, it is. It's a huge transaction. It's a huge investment for buyers, and then for sellers, of course. If they raise their family there, like sometimes it's hard to let go unless they are wanting to move up and into a larger house and they're excited about it. It's sometimes hard to let go, especially like those. Sometimes if you're downsizing, so there's a
Right.
lot of emotions and a lot of no transaction is the same, right?
I'm very nonchalant about the open, so that's the opening. So welcome. Thank you guys for coming in, Carol and Steve. I want to answer your question real quick before we kind of get started. You asked about a fee. So for homeowners, there is no fee to use our platform. It's free to download, free to use, there's no subscription. You pay through the app, and if you pay through the app, there is a service fee there. You don't have to pay through that, but for your convenience, if you want to, then there is a service fee. Just we can't lose money on a transaction.
Sure.
And then how we make money, generally speaking, is on the vendor side. So our home service providers, they don't pay a subscription to be on, which is awesome. They love that compared to other options on the market. But there's a connection fee. So we are not a cost per lead or a lead company. We're a cost per connection. So what happens is the homeowner uses our product. They say, I need a handyman. AI does its thing. It's really, really sweet. It's about a 2-second process for the homeowner. It's as easy as it gets. And then that gets sent out to all the qualified companies on the other side, on the pro side. And then if and only if they want to throw their hat in the ring, so to speak, they put in an offer to the homeowner. And if the homeowner chooses them, that's when they get charged by us.
Okay.
And that's just a flat rate that we developed off of the average ticket size in each industry. So the handyman is paying maybe $7 or $12 or $19 depending, and then the roofer might be paying $100, $150, just because of the size of tickets in the industries are so different. So what we try to do, our customer is definitely the homeowner. So we try to eliminate as many barriers as possible and make it as humanly possibly easy for them to use the product and get qualified great vendors.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's where we're at. So we can get more into that. I obviously love talking about it and talk about it all day, but I'd like to kind of meet you guys. We usually start is just tell us about y'all, the company, personal, professional, where you from, how'd you get here, all that stuff.
Do you want to start? You want me to start? Okay. So we're the Rice Collaborative. Steve and I recently teamed up together and are marketing ourselves together now.
Awesome.
So I've been doing real estate since 2004, started in the Atlanta market.
Oh, okay.
Went through the market crash of 2008.
And survived it?
It was a struggle. Let's be real. So
Gosh.
I'm going to be honest about that. Yes, it was
Real
a struggle.
estate's a struggle
So
anyways,
So that's what brought me here.
Nice.
So 2009, I moved here. Yes, it can be for sure. Had a great run in Atlanta and then moved here in 2009 where I met Steve.
Oh, awesome.
And so got back into the market here. And so that's kind of like
How
my
you ended up in
backstory,
Nashville?
how I ended up in Nashville. Yes.
I think
and then,
I have a rule. If you moved here pre-flood, you're local.
yes.
Pre 2010, the big flood. I think you're considered local. I'm not local, so but I think
I feel like a local. I'm a Tennessee girl, so
Okay.
originally from East Tennessee. So
Oh, where at?
I just claim it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Born in Cleveland, Tennessee, grew up in Greenville, Tennessee.
I don't know where either one of those are.
Okay, so Cleveland's about 22 miles maybe northeast of Chattanooga. Let's not quote me on the mileage. And then Greenville is about 60 miles northeast of Knoxville,
Okay, gotcha.
Tri-Cities area.
I love the Chattanooga area.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
beautiful.
It. Oh my gosh, so good.
Yes.
So Steve, are you from here?
I'm from the Atlanta area.
Okay.
But I've lived here since the 80s.
Okay, so you're definitely local then.
Yeah. So I'm definitely local. Definitely went through the flood. We've got stories.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I bet so.
Because we were just about to
Dating.
get married. Yeah, we were dating during that time.
Oh gosh.
And, yeah. And Carol was new to Nashville. Yeah. Welcome to Nashville with the flood.
A once in 100-year flood.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, damn it! Why did I move here?
Yeah. So I'm a Nashvilleian for all intents and purposes. I've been here since I was 18 years old. Mm-hmm. So I've seen all the changes and lived in many parts of Nashville and love Nashville.
What brought you to Nashville when you were 18?
The music industry.
Okay.
I came here to study music business at Belmont. Jumped into the music industry right out of college and did that for 30 years on the business side before I got into real estate.
That's amazing. So what did you do in the business side of music? What exactly?
I was a music publisher. So it's a corporate music world, but it has a creative element to it. So working with artists and songwriters as a music publisher, mostly working with songs and songwriters. So that was kind of my forte, and loved it, had a very successful run. And then at some point when I started hitting my middle age, I was like, I don't want to be a one-trick pony. I want to learn something new. I want to do something different. I've always loved real estate. Carol was in real estate. My grandfather was a broker back where I grew up. I'd ride with him out to see properties when I was little. So I had a love for real estate. And so I thought, I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to show myself that I can do something. And that was 2016. And so I still kind of piddle around a little bit in music, doing some consulting here and there and hang out with my friends, but real estate is the thing. And so that's what we do now.
That's awesome. How is it working together?
I told you he was going to ask this question. So
hey, I'll preface it with me and my wife. She's the CEO of our company. We work together. I mean, it's so I am very familiar. So you're not gonna surprise me with anything you say, maybe, but I'm always interested to talk to other couples that work together.
Can I jump into this?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, being a team is new for us. Mm-hmm. When I jumped into real estate, we worked together in the sense that Carol taught me a lot of things. She'd been in real estate a lot longer than me.
Right.
She even pitched me some leads.
He's being
sent
generous.
Some clients my way.
I did do that though.
But her focus, and you can talk more about this, her focus at that time was property management.
Okay.
And so,
yikes.
I was focused on sales, and because she was property management, she was with a sister real estate brokerage that they were sister companies, but they weren't the same. So it would have been difficult for us to market ourselves together.
Right.
So we worked separately, but we helped each other.
And I wasn't ready to market ourselves together at that
Right.
point either, really.
She didn't trust me yet. I was new, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot to learn.
No,
Earn your stripes.
So working together as a team, as the Rice Collaborative, is really just a few months old. We both moved to Compass Real Estate after Compass and Parks merged last year. So in the fall, we joined Compass, and so we're really just beginning to learn what it's like to operate as a team. But
nice.
Yeah.
With my background in corporate business, negotiating contracts, the financial part of that, the budgeting, the marketing, we bring different skill sets to the table. Perfect. But to complement one another. But the wonderful thing about that is we've both done it all, because we both worked independently as realtors, so we can cover for each other.
Nice.
As well.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the dream scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very similar with my wife and I. Like in the founding of our company, I had another company from 2020 to 2024. I started right when I got out of the Army and then sold it last year. And so I had experience doing that. But I think what a big learning curve for me working together on this company was it was a welcomed change, but it was a change I had to get used to, which is like letting go of some of the other reins that I was holding. I didn't want to hold them, but I was just so used to doing all the other aspects. It took a little bit of time for me to be like, okay, yeah, I'm not even going to worry about that, And I think that's what's unique about being in business with your husband or wife, because there is like that ultimate trust there compared to just if I had a business partner. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I'd be like, are they doing what we need to be doing? Yeah. But if it's your husband or wife, it's like, yeah, I know they are, because if we don't, we both will be homeless. you know what I'm saying? There's like this element of, complete trust there, which I find reassuring in business, in any business relationship. I don't know if you could replicate that in any other relationship, even like best friend or brother or cousin, whatever. There's still, you hear horror stories about that all the time. I do have a question. Do you guys have trouble or maybe not trouble? What's y'all's hints or tips on being able to kind of turn off business and turn on relationship? How do you guys draw the line of when work stops and like, okay, this is husband-wife conversation or this is business partner conversation, or does it all kind of blend?
I feel like it all blends. So
let's push this mic a little bit closer.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like it all blends. There are times when I'll be like, okay, no more talk about real estate, right? Like let's cut it off for a bit and wind down. And
I can't take another conversation.
Yeah, I'm like done for the day, right? Yeah. So that's kind of how I handle it.
And then 10 minutes later, she'll say, "Oh, did you see this property?"
Well, yeah.
That's right.
It's like I feel like real estate and our lives are just like, I don't know. I hate to say we eat, breathe, and sleep real estate, but we do love real estate. So it's not like it's not
like it's work.
Yeah.
You're not just because you're having the conversation about work at 9 at night.
Yeah.
It's not like we're still working. I know that feeling 100%.
Yeah.
It's
hard to explain, but yes, that's it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that goes to like, I listen to this guy called Alex. His name is Alex Ramosi. Super successful business guy, young guy, but has sold multiple companies. Killer. But he has just a unique take on work and approach and all that stuff. And his big thing is like, he's like famous for saying "fuck balance," which like all of these other people are like, well, you have to balance it. You have to take this. You have to do this, and you have to, you have to make sure you're spending time here. And he's like, if you want to work all the time, and that's what you want to do, you can do it. You don't have to feel guilty about like working at 9 p.m. Along those lines, it's like what we've had to do is be like, it's all right if the last 5 conversations that me and my wife have had have just been about business. Like that's our choice. That's what we want to be doing. It's not like somebody's forcing us to do that.
Right.
So I know the feeling. It's hard to put into words, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, it's that whole saying of do what you love, and you'll be successful at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it just comes naturally, no matter what you're doing.
That's
because we can say, hey, let's take some time off this afternoon. We've been working hard. We did this all weekend. I just was up till 10 o'clock at night trying to finalize a deal for a client. We can say, let's take the afternoon off and go to the park, but then you may get a call.
That's
and it's the middle of the afternoon, or an idea may come. I mean, I find that when I get out and walk or hike or ride a bike or something, my creative juices get going. And all of a sudden I'll have a great idea. Man, I should do this, or I should, we should do this for marketing or for the strategy on the next sale. And so it's hard to get away from it, but if you love it and you just make it part of your life.
Yeah.
Well, I do think there are those times though when if you're really super slammed and you have a lot of deals going and there are those times where it can get to feel like too much, and you do have to like draw some boundaries and step back for a minute. And I've learned how to get better at that as I've started to get older, but I mean, it can still be challenging when you're really busy and it's like you're just like constantly running from one thing to the next. And then, and it can bleed into your social time. Like, you may have something planned, and then if you're having to work this deal, you may have to say, excuse me for a minute, or
right. That's the tough part about real estate, I would imagine, is there is like, you're not off the clock. Right? If you're on vacation, someone calls you and says, hey, I want to list my house.
Yes.
You're going to fucking do it.
Yes.
You're not going to be like, I'm on vacation.
Vacation is usually when you're always going to be working a deal.
That's right.
Like,
that's
always.
Goes, right?
Yes. So I'm like, if we need some business, let's just take a vacation.
Perfect. Business will pay for it because we'll have a lot of business conversations.
Yes.
I sold 2 different houses on cruises.
2 different cruises.
That's so cool, though. I mean, that is like, that's why people get into industries like real estate. Cause I can make my own schedule, And if I still need to work, I can work from anywhere. You know, other than like showing the house, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
you can work.
I mean, it wasn't planned that way.
It's never planned that way.
Planned that way.
Right.
I didn't take a cruise to work, but
I mean,
Right.
but still, that's a pretty good
but I
vacation.
could.
Yeah.
I needed
Yeah.
to, and I could get on the internet, and I got
Boom.
it done. Yeah.
That's I love that too. To your point, I think something I've tried, and this is not like some groundbreaking thing. Everybody does this, but I've never done it. Is instead of like tasking, it's just time blocking in my calendar. I had never done that. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I'd never done it before. I realized that I was never really purposeful with any of my time. I was just like, I'd sit down at the desk and be like, all right, what do I got to do? And that's like a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe to do nothing or spend a lot more time doing one thing than you should. But with the time blocking off time to go to the gym or to go on a hike or to go do something like this, because you're right. It's like that's where these other things that are just blocked because you're doing the menial task or the admin task or the things that don't require the creative juices, that you have to have this change of scenery or change of chemicals in your body, you know, that come from exercise or sunlight or whatever to start to like initiate some of that. So I completely agree with that. But time blocking is the only way was able to kind of start doing that and like really protect that time. Because I'm quick to be, I love health and fitness and all that stuff. It's always been a huge part of my life. But when it comes to work, I am very quick to be like, I'm not going to the gym. I would rather keep doing this thing than go work out. But if you do that for 6 months, it really starts to take a toll on you. And you're like, holy shit, when did I get fat? You know, like, how did this happen? So tell me about y'all's team. Do you guys focus on residential, commercial? Is there specific areas of town? What's y'all's kind of niche, and what are the goals with the business?
We focus on residential, and I would say our main focus is probably from downtown Nashville south to Franklin, that corridor.
Gotcha.
Mostly because, and we will service other areas, but that's the main focus. Those are the areas that we're very comfortable in, close to, have lived in Green Hills, Forest Hills, Franklin.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, it's feels kind of like our home area, but we would be willing to go outside that area. We have gone outside that area. But that's the main focus, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah, I talked to a real estate agent. I've also said realtor wrong my entire life. And a lot of people have called me out recently on it. So I'm trying to just switch from saying realtor to just real estate agent, because I'm never going to be able to say realtor.
Realtor.
Yeah. I've just been saying realtor.
Yeah.
Apparently it's very wrong, pissing people off. So
it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, that's what most people say. That like, it doesn't matter. But a couple of people, you'd think I was insulting their religion. I was talking to an agent the other day, and they were talking about advice to new agents, and one of them was like niching down into a location. So I love that. You guys seem like you have a very defined look. Obviously, you'll work outside of that, but the goal is, hey, this is our area. This is what we want to be. Can you describe kind of the thought process behind that? Why you chose that area, and why y'all went in that direction instead of niching down into a certain type of home or maybe a broader area? Just because I think it's an interesting choice that I don't know if agents understand the importance of doing that.
I think for me, it is just being familiar with the areas, and then studying those. You study the areas, the comps, and once you're familiar with those, and it's easy to stay on top of it, like when you're working in those areas. So it's just, to me, I know those areas, frontwards, backwards, sideways, whatever. Like, it's easy to navigate. It's knowledge about the areas, and for me, that's probably the main reason. And just when I started here, and I was really focusing on property management, I had stuff everywhere. Mm-hmm. But I feel like my main areas, like, of doing business was like Hillsborough Village, 12 South, Green Hills. And then later on took it further south, like down into Franklin. Well, when we were living in Franklin, I did a lot of stuff in Franklin. So now I'm just like, this is the area. It's kind of, so.
It makes you the expert. You know all the locations. You can probably, in most situations, I bet you, if you have somebody mentions an area, you probably already kind of know comps in the area.
Right.
Maybe not with certainty enough to tell them.
Right.
But with like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's going to be around this.
Yeah.
And if you're way wide and you're like, I'll take anything in the Middle Tennessee area, it's a little bit harder to be knowledgeable on those certain types of
right.
things. It just helps you. It helps that relationship with the client, I would imagine, right? Because
yes.
I want to have confidence in you as my realtor.
Yes.
And if you're like always like, I don't really know, let me go check. I'm like, what? I could go check.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to trust you. So I think niching down in certain areas provides that expertise that people are wanting to pay for.
Yes.
I think that's the main reason, but there's also another reason, and that's just logistically being able to cover the territory.
Right.
For a couple of years there, we've had so many people that have wanted to move from other states to Nashville. We've represented a lot of those buyers, but some would come in and they're not familiar and they want to see everything. They want to go to Hendersonville and Gallatin, and they want to go down to Columbia and around there, and they want to go out to Dixon. I mean, they're like looking everywhere, and it's like at some point you think, I have to trim down my area and refer this out to somebody else. I can't go driving hours in every direction.
But you start not making any money that way.
Right.
You can start breaking down what the commission on it is and how many hours you spent, and it starts to look like not very good, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting part too, is just logistically. I think it's really hard for a lot of agents, any business really, to be like, no, but I've got a great person for you.
Right.
Especially the new agents, because they're most times new businesses desperate for revenue, right? So it's like, but I think it's important for customers and potential clients to know that, like, if you have an agent that's doing that, they're probably a very good agent or probably a very good business, because they understand that if I take you on as a client, I'm going to give you subpar service compared to what you want and what this person can provide to you.
Yes.
So probably a green flag when it comes to if that's what they're doing. A red flag would be like, yeah, I'll take you anywhere, anytime, anywhere. Like that just seems a little bit, I don't want to say desperate, but you're probably going to get what you're paying for there. You're going to get probably subpar service. So y'all been in real estate for over a decade. What's the biggest positive change you've seen in the industry in the last 10, 15 years? Or negative change?
That's a great question. The first thing that popped in my head was all the recent changes through NAR with commissions, which commissions have always been negotiable. Mm-hmm. But honestly, maybe that, as much as I say it's kind of been a bear with all the changes in paperwork and stuff, but I think that needed to maybe happen just to make sure the agents are being upfront and negotiating with their clients and being transparent in
Absolutely.
that. I think that's actually a good thing.
I agree completely. I mean, if somebody's saying transparency, and there are some, I know y'all know, but there's some agents that don't love the change. But transparency is good. I
think it's really good, actually. Yeah. So I know there's been a lot of thoughts, differentiating across the board with agents, but to me, I think it's a good thing. So that would be my...
I'll step out on a limb and say that I think bad agents think it's a bad thing. And I think good agents think it's a good thing. Because...
I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, that's why I did. I'm not an agent, so I'll talk shit. But I think that the agents who struggle with providing value to their clients, or maybe are just not that great of people, are discouraged by the fact that now they have to disclose some things. Right? To me, there is no logical other step to not liking the change.
I think, yeah.
It's like you got to provide value and tell your customer, your client, what they're paying for. Seems like a good thing.
I think so.
I also think it provides a barrier. There's a lot of bad eggs that now they might make a different decision, right? Than getting into the industry and maybe losing some people some money. I don't know.
I honestly don't know any agents personally that were not disclosing that.
Right.
I mean,
Me either.
That's great.
The paperwork, the Tennessee paperwork with a buyer in the
I
past
think Tennessee was
said
pretty golden.
there was a blank where it's like, this is my fee. But the understanding was that the common practice at the time was that was typically paid by the seller. And I think that maybe the disclosure was not that, hey, it could happen, that the seller's not going to do this. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's really the disclosure now is, hey, we're doing this the same way. We charge the same fee that we used to charge. This is what we feel like our services are worth. But it is very possible that the seller may not want to pay that. So,
with a buyer.
But so that would really be the only thing that may not
change.
have been as transparent in the past. So to
Yeah.
me, it's a little bit semantics.
Yeah,
honestly,
it is. It definitely is. But it like forces the hand a little bit to just weed out some bad eggs. Because you're right. I mean, Tennessee is an awesome state with awesome people, so I doubt anybody's being, unethical or immoral. But if there were some bad eggs, I think the law change prevents some of that.
Yeah. But you asked about, what are some of the changes we've seen that are positive. And I mean, what's been happening in Nashville, I think, has been extremely positive. So many people have been able to move up in house because of the equity they've gained, with the growth of Nashville. So I think that's been super positive for so many people.
That's awesome.
I
am interested in y'all's personal and then professional opinion on the changes in Nashville.
Yes.
I've heard differencing of opinions. I'll tell you mine.
Yeah.
As not a local, I love the development. I love watching the commercial real estate go up. I love every aspect of like Nashville becoming this major popular city in the nation. I love the Tennessee and Nashville people. I love the government here. I love all that stuff. But I didn't grow up seeing it any other way here. So I know people who've been here for 10, 20, 15, 30 years have a different opinion, and I'm always interested in that because, that's what it's all about. So I just wanted to get you guys' take on what y'all have seen the changes in Nashville and then where you see it going and your opinion on it.
So I moved here in 2009. He was here way long before me. When I got here, it was just this cute little quaint city. It was pretty amazing, and I adored it, and I still do. My thing when I got here was there are not enough restaurants. So, yes, so I was used to, I'm kind of a foodie. I love really good food, and coming from Atlanta, I was like, where are all the nice, good restaurants,
We got Church's Chicken. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, the Palm was you had the Palm and Morton's fine dining. And there were some things that I later discovered, but that was probably
the culture shock too.
Yeah. And so as the growth started happening and all the new restaurants and stuff started coming in, I'm like, hey, it's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think the growth has been interesting to watch. It's kind of crazy. Every time you go downtown, I see another, I'm like, oh, wow, that just popped up overnight, or there's just so much going on. And I'm thrilled for Nashville. I think it's great and look forward to seeing what's to come.
Yeah. I'm the same way. And I think it goes to kind of what you were talking about earlier, which is all of these things eventually do help homeowners, right?
Yes.
Great example. We moved in, we have a house in Clarksville. We lived there. We moved to Nashville in 2021. So we bought in 2019 and then kept it, rented it. But then we moved in 2021. And if you guys remember, everything was going 100K over. Everybody was waiving appraisals, waiving inspections. We were buying with a VA loan, so not competitive at all. Just the worst scenario. We found a house in Bordeaux, and I didn't know anything about Nashville. And it was brand new build, and we went into it, loved it, put in an offer. We were the first ones to see it. They weren't even quite done building it yet, and they accepted the offer right away. So we were perfect. Asking price, all that stuff. When we were looking at it, we didn't look up and look around and do any research of the area. So we were in one of those transitioning neighborhoods Whereas, like, you know, we quite literally had a crack house right down the street from us. But it's one of those neighborhoods that's really changing. And I say all that because there is so many commercial projects going on in North Nashville, like big billion-dollar commercial projects that have already increased the equity in our home.
It's awesome.
You know, just on accident. We didn't know any of that was going on, but that's why I'm like, okay, I'm for all this development. You know, let's go, let's bring it on.
It helps. It helps for sure.
Yeah.
Increase the values. You can't like get mad at that. I do miss sometimes, you know, the quaintness of the city when it was before it kind of blew up. But you know, you have to take the good and with the bad. So
yeah, because you definitely can't have one and the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't really go together.
Yeah. So I like that it increases the value of our homes. I mean, we've definitely profited from that, so I can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps people to move up in home for sure. I mean, you know, your values can go up. It doesn't really mean anything to you unless you sell.
That's right.
So we've seen a lot more people moving up, cashing in, moving down, you know, that type of thing. So there's been a lot of real estate activity over the last few years because of the low interest rates and the equity gains.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too is I always like to get some opinions on what's the family that bought in 2020 and they're sitting on like a 2.5 interest rate, but they've had 2 kids since then and they need some more space. You know, I'm sure y'all are seeing clients like that. What should they be thinking about right now if they're looking to get some more room, but they don't want to, you know, lose their 2.5 or have to move further out because that's all they can afford now? Or, you know, what's the approach there that you guys usually recommend?
Yeah, so that's a great question, actually. It's hard to let go of that 2.5%.
Big time.
Yes. So unless they're going to make enough cash from the sale of their home to pay cash for something, I think it's a individual decision. You know, it's like they have to determine what they're willing to do or not willing to do. And then one of the things, like if it's super, super important, I mean, you can always ask a seller, do they have assumable mortgage? If they have an assumable mortgage at a low interest rate, that could be something that you look at.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
So some mortgages are assumable, which means that the current owner of the mortgage, the seller, could assign that mortgage or work out anyway, basically it goes to the buyer and they're able to keep a low rate.
Wow.
And I don't know exactly how that all marries together, but
that's cool.
We work with some great lenders that coach our clients through.
Yeah, we don't try to get into lending because we're not licensed to do that.
But I hear you.
But my answer to that question is, and this is not possible for everybody, and maybe it's only possible for a few, but I mean, if you can hold on to that mortgage and hold on to that property and then move up,
maybe rent it,
save up your money and buy the next property. I mean, Carol and I have looked at each other, and so many people that we know have said, gosh, I wish I never sold that property.
Oh my gosh,
you know,
man.
Look, everybody looks back, and so what if you didn't sell it? And what if you just bought another one?
That's right.
You know, because they're all investments. And we know that even though there's dips in the market, if we look at history, the market continues to go up, 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 up.
That is a truth. I think that's also a misunderstanding of the market too. Is people don't zoom out and look at the last 20 years. Even if you just look at the last 20 years in Nashville, I mean, property values have increased. You know, like they're if you zoom in, sure there are dips and ups and downs, but that's why I'm a fan of the long hold game in real estate.
Right.
You know, and then there's also for that family, right? That there are also like, if you work with a great lender, there are a lot of mortgage options that don't require a major down payment. You know, to where you could keep that rental property and not have to come up with a huge down payment on something else. Or
right.
If you have the VA loan, you know, maybe there's still enough room on the VA loan to be able to buy the other house and keep the other one. There's a lot of options there. Overall, it's like start having conversations with
The lender.
with the lender.
Yeah.
Get your
Absolutely.
realtor, and then be like, hey, this is my goal, and then they'll start to hook you up with like, okay,
Yeah.
this is the lender. Let's have a conversation here, and then figure out our options. Don't try to go about it, by yourself.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to do, is to help them figure out, make a plan. Like, okay, you want to be doing this, but you're not quite ready. Let's start getting you ready and taking those steps.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's where the big value of an agent comes in. It's like, hey, I know that we need another house. I know I don't want to get rid of this interest rate. Is there anything we can do? And then you guys take the reins from there. Yeah. So that kind of leads into something I usually like to talk about is, I think you mentioned the new changes based on the lawsuit and all that stuff. I think a lot of agents are approaching 2025 like, okay, we have to provide, we have to be able to message our value differently now, right? All the changes are what they are, not changes, whatever. But to the individual who's I don't want to pay 3% commission now because it's coming out of my pocket if I'm the buyer. I'll just do this on my own. What is y'all's usually response to, hey, these are the things that could happen. This is why you do need, even if it's not us, it's why you need an agent representing you in these type of transactions. Just as a warning to a lot of folks, because people are cheap and they're going to try to save some money if they can. But ultimately, I think it could end up actually costing them more money going that route. So what's kind of the value add there in a time where real estate agents are really trying to show their value more than ever?
I mean, there's a long list of things that we do for our clients.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
so we do go through those things from pre-sale of a property or early stages of preparing to buy a property, all the way through inspection process, all kinds of stuff until we get to closing. So I think just describing what this entails, and you're probably not going to walk into a courtroom without a lawyer. So why would you not hire a professional to help you in the real estate business as well?
Because the other side has an agent, and they're looking out for their client.
Right.
Exactly.
And you need somebody looking out for you.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think it's just explaining those kind of things. I think a lot of people don't understand what a realtor does.
Yeah.
And they think, well, you're just going to show me houses, and then, or you're going to market my house on the MLS and it's going to sell in a day, and you don't do anything else, and you just make a big chunk of money.
Right.
But the truth is, I mean, and I'm sure Carol has too, I've worked with buyers for over a year before they ever bought. A lot of my time and
In the old
energy
days.
and research. What's that?
In the old days.
And we spend time with sellers beforehand. We have a seller right now that's preparing to list in early spring, but there are some renovations and things that need to be done, and they're asking us, what do you think? Is this too much to do? Are we going to lose money this way? Should we put this kind of money in it? There's so many things that we do ahead of time as well. So,
Yep.
Well, and just in protecting the client's best interest, there's legal documents, contracts, and sometimes people don't really understand what they're even signing. So
Big time.
I like to go over all the main points, the high points of the paperwork, and make sure they understand the legalities and what they're actually signing up for and committing to. And then on the buyer side, helping them understand the timeline of, you have however many days to show that you're pre-approved, or, covering all the contingencies. Just, there's a lot. And like Steve said, you don't go show up in court without an attorney. And we're licensed professionals. We have to pass Tennessee state law exam as well as the real estate exam as well. So we have continuing education that we have to do every year. There's a lot to it. And I think that, when we sit down with a client, we actually have lists, depending on whether they're the buyer or the seller. And this is what we do for you.
Yeah.
So it's so much until you start going through the list. It's
Right.
Sometimes, they don't get it until they get it.
Right. Yeah. And the big part of that is I think on average they say people buy 5 or 6 houses in their life. Is that
I just read the other day that people generally make 11 moves in
11
their life.
moves.
Now, whether
That does not pertain to us. We've made so many moves.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah,
are
same.
the gypsies.
We've blown that out of the water. But I don't know that necessarily means 11 houses bought, but it's 11 moves.
11 moves.
Yeah.
So either way, if you make 11 moves in your adult life, let's just say from 18 to 80, you are likely going to forget everything about every transaction that you ever made when buying. Let's say you bought 11 houses, right? That is what I find the most challenging. I would imagine the most challenging part of being an agent is they as in the client has moved 8 years ago. They're like, oh, I remember this. But really, you remember none of it. You don't understand anything that goes on in the transaction. You don't understand any of the behind the scenes stuff. And you guys do this every single day. So it's like, it's the principle of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the expert, in anything having to explain what they do to a non-expert. It becomes very difficult because a Tuesday for y'all is selling a house, but to the client you're working for, they do it a handful of times in their entire life. So it's like, it's almost impossible to like dumb it down to someone like me who's not in the industry, but I've bought a couple of houses, but I would still not know where to begin when it came to like selling my house unless I had somebody who is doing it every single day. And I think the real people who feel that are the people who try to do a for sale by owner. And they're like, oh, fuck, this is, I left 20% on the table.
Yeah.
Or
they've overpriced it way too.
It's been on the market forever, or whatever it is, So the challenge there too is it's similar. All right, so I was in restoration before our other company was in restoration. Water, fire, mold, right? Insurance losses would come out, residential and commercial properties. And for us, a Tuesday was a house flooded. But for that client, that was the only time it's going to happen in their entire life. And they had never dealt with it before. They might have been with State Farm and they paid their insurance bill for 40 years, and this is the first time they've ever filed a claim on their house. But for us, it was literally just the second one that day.
Right.
So it makes for a really hard process to go in there and, this is a life-changing event for them, but it's the 10th one this week for us. I feel like there's some similarities there when you're representing a client in the home purchase or selling process, because they have never done this or haven't done it for 10 years. And you're trying to sit there and say like, please just trust me on this process. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to list it at. This is what we have to do. Blah, 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 right? Like, and then you're dealing with someone's home, which is like personal as well. So like you guys are thrust in this environment of like extremely emotional because it's their home. If they're selling it, maybe they've been there for 20 years or whatever. And then they're buying this new place, and maybe this one's starting a family here, and like, but then it's also very transactional because it's people's money, right? So like, basically, what I'm trying to say is, you guys' job's impossible, and good luck.
It's very emotional,
so
right?
Yeah.
Whether you're the seller or the buyer, unless it's like an investor who has no emotional strings attached.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a huge transaction. It's a huge investment for buyers. And then for sellers, of course, if they raise their family there, like sometimes it's hard to let go unless they are wanting to move up and into a larger house and they're excited about it. It's sometimes hard to let go, especially like those, sometimes if you're downsizing, it's, so there's a lot of emotions and a lot of, no transaction is the same, right?
Right.
I mean, it can get really crazy.
And that's why a agent or a team with experience is important too.
Yes.
Because I think most agents learn on the job. Just because
100%
different. Yeah.
Yes, you're constantly learning.
Yeah, which is another good point that other agents have talked about, which is they've advocated for like when a new agent gets into the industry, there should be some sort of like year-long period of shadowing and mentorship.
Yes, it's not a bad idea.
Right.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
We do learn every day, and back to what we were talking about earlier, I was thinking, for every client that we have or every transaction, let's say we did, we were talking about 11 moves in a lifetime. Let's say we did 22 transactions last year. For every buyer and every seller that we work with, there are multiple offers. So if I'm a listing agent, I'm getting different offers in, and so and for a lot of buyers, I'm making offers on 2 or 3 properties if they, to get the one, especially in the last few years when you're competing so much. So we see every possible type of scenario of an offer, and so we're constantly learning. So like you were saying, if somebody has made 3 offers in the past 20 years of their life, we've seen so many different offers that we've learned how it all works. The other thing is, back to that, just about experience, is negotiation. If you try to do it yourself, you may not have the negotiation skills. I was just talking to one of my clients the other day, and I commented to him, I said, these guys are smart negotiators, and we have to be really careful. They're not trying to pull any kind of illegal stuff on us. They're just sharp negotiators. And so we're getting pushed into a corner if we're not careful by their negotiations, but we need to remove that box. So that's another skill I think that we can bring to the table, because we've negotiated so many deals and we understand what's important and what's not, what to focus on and what not to focus on.
Yep.
As well.
That's a very good point. And I think it also, the negotiation piece, I would argue nobody has that unless they're in some sort of sales or whatever, right? But like, that is a very unique skill learned through experiences of do's and don'ts, right? And doing it every single day. That alone could save you $20,000, $30,000, right? Like, hands down. And I think that also plays into, I think it's going to be a lot longer than what some would say technology can either supplement and or replace the agent. Because I don't necessarily see a world where negotiations happens through technology or some sort of software system. I think that's going to take a human element, I hope, for a very long time, right? Unless you can train a robot to negotiate on my behalf and I can make it,
right.
It doesn't make sense right now, right? In our lifetimes, for sure. So it's an interesting thing in a world of technology and automation that over the last 20 years, more people have bought homes using an agent than they did the prior 20 years, right? Which is a fascinating fact to me, because on its face, you would think as technology increased, there would have been, just like every other industry has, positions were removed and replaced with technology. But it's been the exact opposite. And I think, to your point, it's because there's certain aspects of this process of buying a home that A, the homeowner doesn't know, and B, take a very personable and human approach, like negotiating on behalf of the client, because the agent understands the client's particular needs that are different from the other 15 clients they're working with.
Right.
Which is impossibly hard for a piece of technology to solve it. Now, I'm a big fan of technology. Obviously, we're in tech. I think there are great tools to supplement and improve your business as an agent. But I ultimately think, and the data supports it, that agents are going nowhere for a very long time because of those very specific things that save or lose tens and thousands of dollars for the clients. I love it.
Another one of those things is we're going, I don't know, maybe next weekend with one of our clients to look at a property that it's their property that used to be a rental, and now they're going to sell it and buy another rental property. And they want us to walk through and give them thoughts on, should I paint this color? Should I remove this? Should I add that? What about my appliances?
Yeah.
That's not something AI can do.
That's right.
And we do use AI. Our Compass has built.
That's why we chose Compass. Actually,
we chose Compass because
not because of AI, but because of the tools they offer. They're amazing.
They spent over $1 billion creating their platform of tools for their agents.
Wow.
And so it's been.
They have
fantastic.
amazing tools.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that only supplements your business, right?
Yes.
Right.
And especially, I think what technology is going to do in real estate, or it has already done, is it allows a team of 2 to sell like a team of 50.
Yeah.
Right? And like, that's awesome.
Right.
That's what we would hope technology does, is increase and supplement.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I want to give the opportunity to, if you guys want to pitch your business about what makes you all different as we wrap up here, just to get a little soundbite there for any of the socials that you guys might have and want to promote. So, to frame the question, what makes you guys different? Why do your clients love working with y'all? And what kind of clients are you looking to attract?
Do you want to go first?
Well, first of all, Carol is the most friendly and personable and relational person that I know.
Yeah.
And so we get the benefit of that as our team.
Yep.
And then, I love the minutia, the numbers, the analytics, the negotiations, all of the back office stuff of, making sure we're compliant legally, we're compliant ethically, just all of that. In addition to, I can hang with people too,
right?
But I think we bring skills together that really complement one another. We do put our client first, and their goals are our first priority in everything that we do. And Carol is there to walk them, every step of the way through the process, through all the emotions we talked about, and the excitement. But you also get 2 agents for the price of 1 when you're working with us.
There you go.
Yep. Because we're doing everything together, and we're if somebody can't reach me, which is rare, they can reach Carol and vice versa.
That's right.
If we're working with 2 or 3 clients at the same time, then guess what? She can be showing a house, I can be showing a house. I can be doing an open house, she can be showing other houses to people. So we're, you get 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, which really allows you to get that boutique kind of personable feel when you're working with an agent and paying that it makes you happy to pay that commission. Yep. I'll say from my side, I know people who are watching this can't feel it. I feel like when I talk to both of you, I just feel like I can trust you, right? Which is one of the big check boxes that you should check when you're dealing with somebody who's going to be selling your home or helping you find a home. So
thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
No, and it's the truth.
Thank you.
And I can see too the relationship, which is, you are a personal guy as well, but not as personal as Carol. Let's just be honest. But I trust you inherently in looking at all of the shit I don't want to look at and the shit I don't understand when it comes to the transactions, right? So the team aspect is what also gives me that kind of trust feel with you guys as a team. So I just want to say thank y'all so much for coming in. I hope everybody can feel the same thing I feel in talking to you guys, and I hope nothing but success for your businesses.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and the same for you.
Yes.
We are excited about your business.
Thank you.
The app, I've played around with it a little bit. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Thank you.
I don't know your plans, but that can be scaled nationally.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, personally, we have,
we'll be sharing
rental
it for
properties.
sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have rental properties that are not here in Nashville, and it is difficult when you don't live in a place where you might own a property to find the people that you can trust.
Good vendors.
That's right.
Or find vendors in general. So
that's right.
That's an important app, and I think we will be using it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for saying that. And we are scaling nationally. We've got vendors in probably 30 different states right now. The exciting year for us. We are venture backed. We've got some great investors that are really putting us in some very, very cool spots in Silicon Valley and helping us get in front of people that can really skyrocket this thing. But what I think is more exciting is what we're building. So in 6 months or less, the product is what we have right now is about 2% of what it's capable of doing. What we're going to is this, it's this home operations ally, right? So you've got this thing in your pocket that you can just say, hey, who did I hire 2 years ago to cut down that tree? And it'll just say, boom, would you like to rehire them? Boom. Or when was the last time I changed my HVAC filters? And it's just this
awesome
little friend that knows everything about your particular home, that can predict the weather where you're sitting in your zip code. Hey, it's about to snow tomorrow. Do you want to preemptively hire these guys to do? Right. We can do a trillion different things and we're building for the homeowner, right? So the future's super exciting. We got a great team. Believe it or not, all of our developers are here in Nashville. We're building it here in Nashville, and we're excited where it's going. So we're just trying to meet great people like y'all, help us spread the word, and just be patient as we start to build something that's really, really going to change kind of how people maintain their homes. So
I love it.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all.
you.
Yeah.